100% just self-satisfying.
And I'm still talking because I'm hoping that will help Andrew when the audio comes back.
Yeah.
That he'll know because we're talking. But
Yes.
we're really not actually saying anything of importance.
Okay, we got audio now.
We have
I'm sorry about
audio.
that. I don't know why, but that has happened like a couple other times, and I don't know what causes it. Hey!
Hey.
Let's see. Crunch. Oh, we have a new listener called Crunch.
Crunch.
And they called you Shami, so I'm assuming it's one
Someone
of your
from my
people.
work.
Yeah. And they says, I can't hear you, but now
He can hear us now.
he can hear us.
Do you? I think you need to do your opening sound again.
What?
Yes, very good. That you nailed that. King.
Thank you. Oh,
So good.
dude, King, thank you. I appreciate it. So, we got some good stuff today,
Yeah.
including stuff.
Okay.
So, if you win the fantasy baseball championship,
Uh-huh.
are you gonna buy the show something with all your winnings?
No.
Are you at least gonna buy me something since you won because you sabotaged my season?
No.
Dang it.
I don't think I'm going to be winning. So it's a tie, and the tiebreaker rules do not favor me. So I'm not in good shape here. I think I'm going to lose. But it's been a tie. And honestly, if I lose, and I would have won if I got one more stolen base. I mean, not me. Obviously, I've never stolen a base. If someone on my team had gotten one more stolen base, last year I was in the championship round and I lost by .001 on base percentage.
Who did you sabotage last year to get into the championship round?
I just started earlier. I sabotaged you from the very beginning of the year, so you ended up in last.
Gotcha. Good to know.
It's Hunter. Hunter, thank you for watching. Hunter's a really nice guy. Unfortunately, he lives in Lewis County. But besides that, I like everything about him. Real nice guy.
Oh, Bitcoin hoodie guy's back.
Please tell me you're joking about having high school fantasy football league.
What? Wait, what?
He says, I'm glad I had Monty's defense in my high school fantasy football league.
Yeah, they had a good week. By the way, Bitcoin hoodie guy might like this. An unnamed Monty parent texted me over the weekend and said, Bitcoin hoodie guy can bite it after Monty had that big win. So a Bitcoin hoodie guy, you have successfully gotten under some people's skin.
Well done. Yeah, definitely not Justin's.
No.
Hunter says Lewis County is awesome. How dare you?
He has to defend his hometown. That's fine. I get
The
it.
fun part here is Daniel can't officially say anything against Lewis County.
Centralia. I can talk bad about Centralia.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can still do that. But we do have lots of awesome stuff to talk about. I think once we get through our local sports roundup, we're going to dive right into the headline topic of the day, which is the Hoquiam football game, which was a win over Raymond South Bend. Daniel, you were there broadcasting.
Is that the headline topic of the day? I thought all of our games were kind of really interesting for different reasons, and Monty hopped off the schneid as well.
Yeah, so Monty did.
You sabotaged
I
my
didn't really
picks
think
as
there were
well.
any interesting games this
You
week.
were also talking up Black Hills until the games were about to start, and you're all of a sudden like, well, Monty should win. Black Hills' whole team's hurt. And I'm like, what?
I talked up Black Hills?
Yeah. You
I
were like,
said-
oh, there's a good chance Monty could lose this game, lose all of their non-league games. There's a good chance
didn't say
that they'll have a losing season this year. This is going to be a real tough game. Black Hills.
Roll back
You
the
never
tape.
know.
I did not say that. I did not
was
say that at
definitely
all.
talking down Monty more than talking up Black Hills.
What I said was what I said from the beginning, and you can go roll back the tape, Daniel, because you heard what you wanted to hear.
I'll
what
roll
I
it
said
back.
from the beginning was that Monty should win that game, but I have like PTSD from 2 years ago when we were supposed to win that Black Hills game when my son was a junior, and then they beat us. So I'll always have that like little thing in the back of my head, and I didn't know at the time when we recorded that previous show, I didn't know that Black Hills' starting quarterback and starting running back had gotten injured the week before. I found that out on like Wednesday.
After the
I should have texted you.
before your picks.
I think Wednesday is when we made our picks.
Yeah. So you found it out on Wednesday, and you were like, Monty's going to win this game.
Why would I tell you if I have a competitive advantage?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But I wasn't trying to intentionally hide it from you. Is the absence of the full truth the same as a lie? I mean,
Oh, we don't want to fall down that rabbit hole.
No, I don't think I ever felt that Monty was going to lose or there was a good chance that they were going to lose. What I did say was, if they lost that game, they run the risk of having a losing season.
Right. Well, they would.
Yeah.
Most likely, because they're off. The rest of their schedule's so tough, non-league.
I'm curious about Napavine because they're obviously still really good. They're 2-1.
You're Napavine curious?
I am a little bit because what I've heard is Napavine's really good.
Yeah.
They're not the Napavine of previous years that just steamrolls everybody. They already lost the game to Life Christian, which is a 1A team now, but it was a 2B team last year.
Interesting.
So, and they're really good. Life Christian's really good. So there's no shame in Napavine in losing that game, but it is interesting. I'm curious to see what people's I'm curious to talk to some people and try to figure out what the public perception of how that game is going to go.
Right.
Because I still think Napavine probably should be the favorite there, but I don't know by how much, I guess. If you had asked me immediately after La Center, the La Center game in week 1, I would have been like, oh, that's a Napavine 40.5 point favorite. And now after seeing what happened over the last couple weeks, I'm curious if it might be a little closer.
That makes sense.
But I do want to make sure that Hoquiam gets its flowers for the win. And also that was a game that had 2 teams in our coverage area in it. So I think once we get through the roundup, we should go straight into Hoquiam talk. And then we'll talk also about the Elma game that I was covering, and then we'll talk about Monty as well.
I'm here for it. We're also sponsored by Spivey Realty Group and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz.
Did we introduce ourselves?
I think we did when the audio was out.
Okay.
I'm Daniel. That's Justin. That's Andrew.
Yeah.
We do a show purely for our own gratification. Justin's most famous quote of said show, "Screw you, listeners." Yeah. And with that,
accurate.
Let's start the let's
round it up locally. Hoquiam beat Raymond South Bend 36-28 on Friday at Olympic Stadium in a football game. Daniel was there
in a football
broadcasting with the voice of Grays Harbor, Ian Cope, and Daniel will provide more details from that game after this roundup.
Montesano picked up a much-needed win on Friday, 56-7 at Blake Hills. Mason Rasmussen started the game by returning the opening kickoff for a touchdown, then returned another kickoff for a score in the first quarter. Wow, why are they kicking it to that guy? The Bulldogs will host Napavine on Friday.
Torrin Kreitz also 3 touchdowns in that game. Ooh. Elma's football team lost for the first time this season 28-7 against Sequim on Friday. Elma turned the ball over 3 times and its offense didn't score. The Eagles' lone score came on the defensive side of the ball after Blaze Salazar ripped the ball from the hands of a Sequim ball carrier and took it to the house, giving Elma a 7-6 lead late in the second frame. The Eagles will be back in action on Friday at Kings.
Well, they did score. Phantom call. Took back play of the year.
Yeah.
Brutal. Hoquiam's volleyball squad beat Aberdeen in straight sets on Thursday at Hoquiam Square Garden. Hoquiam freshman Aaliyah Kennedy racked up 16 kills, 15 digs, and 4 aces in the match. Caitlin Broadhead had 23 assists and 4 kills herself, while Lexi LeBounty led the Grizzlies with 30 digs.
It's a lot.
Sophie Knutson led Aberdeen with 7 digs, and Mia Halleck dished out 10 assists for the Bobcats.
Ocosta notched a straight-set volleyball win over Wishkov Valley on Wednesday in Westport. Anna Davis recorded 10 kills for the Wildcats, while Ava Tucker and Millie Tucker chipped in 8 assists each.
Aberdeen beat Elma 3-1 in volleyball on Monday at Elma. Libero Allie Warren had 25 digs, and outside hitter Hayden Bogar, that's a name we know, had 17 kills to lead the Eagles. No stats were available from the Bobcats.
Montesano took the top spots at the 1A Evergreen League cross-country meet on Thursday at Hoquiam High School. Benny Anderson placed first on the boys' side with a time of 16 minutes and 49 seconds.
Benny.
And Haley Schweppe took the girls' top spot at 19:37.
Oh, it's going to be a Schweppe season this year.
Haley's teammates Samantha Schweppe, Zoe Ray, and Aiden Bowe took second, third, and fourth for the sweep of the top 4 spots by Monty's girls.
A Schweppe sweep.
A sweepy.
A sweepy.
On the boys' side, Elma's Frank Roberts took second, and Hoquiam's Riker Maxfield placed third, both within 16 seconds of Benny Anderson's first place time.
Pretty close. Aberdeen's boys and girls cross-country teams won at Shelton on Wednesday. Aberdeen's boys took the top 3 spots, with Henry Nelson running a time of 15:58. Gonna hear his name a lot this year. Cecil Gamalius at 17:10 and Jacob Halleck at 17:40. On the girls' side, Aylin Haggard placed first at 19:19. That's a fast time, especially looking up at Schweppy's time of 19:37.
Yeah.
While her Bobcat teammates Serenity Allred, Annika Reimer, and Tyler Hatton took 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's well done places, respectively.
Ocosta's girls soccer team picked up a couple of big wins this week, led by freshman phenom Bristol Toll. It feels like she's been around longer because we talked about her last year when she played varsity in 8th grade.
Yeah, elite 8th grader, freshman phenom.
On
super
Monday,
sophomore.
The Wildcats traveled to Hoquiam and topped the Grizzlies 7-0. Toll scored a glut, 5 goals, and dished out an assist in that game. And then on Wednesday, Ocosta picked up a 12-1 home win against Ilwaco. Toll recorded 4 goals and an assist in the match. Kylie Denny added a goal and 3 assists in that win.
That's a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Aberdeen's girls soccer team won at Foster 6-0 on Tuesday. The Bobcats jumped out to an early lead with a first half hat trick from Scotland Lecompte, as Abby Manio added 2 goals and Bella Luna rounded out the scoring with 1 goal.
Montesano's girls soccer team won 2-1 at Centralia on Tuesday. Jalen Butterfield scored off an assist from Ashley Hill in the 31st minute. Then Butterfield struck again with an unassisted goal in the 60th minute. Izzy Taylor made 4 saves in goal for the Bulldogs, following up her 13-save effort in a 1-0 loss to Bellevue Christian on Monday.
On Tuesday, Aberdeen took on Tumwater and Blake Hills in an Evergreen 2A tri-swim meet.
It sounds like someone named Blake.
I know.
They're just going up against a guy named Blake.
Just a guy
Hills.
named Blake. It's like that guy North Carolina
On
played.
Tuesday.
James on Tuesday. The Evergreen State College Athletic Complex. The Bobcats knocked off Tumwater 119-48, and
they're the
Black
Bobcats
Hills
now.
and Black Hills 125-49 by winning 8 of the 12 events, including all 3 relays. 200 medley, Mia Hood, Wendy Neal, Ava Ben, Emma Mullins. 200 freestyle with Gracie Quayle, Ariana Alvarez, Ava Ben, and Emma Mullins. And the 400 freestyle, Gabby Orona, Isabella Melville, Asha Martin, I know that name, Mia Hood. Other event winners were Hood with the 50 free and the 100 backstroke. She had a day. Willow Valentine with the 200 free, and Mullins with the 100 free, and Soraya Graham won diving. On Thursday, Aberdeen traveled to River Ridge and won 100-71.
That will conclude the roundup of
The
local
roundup.
sports. Good things going on there for Aberdeen girls swim and dive.
Maybe that's how I need to start. Maybe I need to lean into the roundup, like, we're gonna kill some bugs with the roundup. I'm just trying to figure out an intro.
Bugs or weeds? What is that one?
Is it
Roundup
weeds?
a bug killer or a weed killer?
Roundup is a weed killer.
Oh, weed killer.
I bet it kills bugs too.
Gonna
Though.
kill that weed.
I bet if you sprayed Roundup directly on a bug, it would
Also,
die.
it's a Monsanto brand.
Oh, that's not
Monsanto.
good. They probably have a bunch of lawsuits.
We didn't
pending.
mention Aberdeen's football game, did we?
No.
That
I was
didn't
gonna-
go well either.
No. So I
Okay.
didn't have further information on a lot of these games, so
Right.
I was just going to run through. I have the Daily World scoreboard up, so I can run through the scores from all the games that we don't have in the roundup. Aberdeen hosted Rochester and lost 33-7. I was not surprised that Rochester won. I was surprised by that disparity.
Yeah.
Montesano, we mentioned, beat Black Hills 56-7. Sequim beat Elma 28-7. Raymond South Bend Hoquiam. Grizzlies came out on top 36-28. Toledo beat PL Willapa Valley 48-29. Ocosta beat North Beach 22-16, and that must have been a late touchdown because I had gotten a text update that North Beach was up in that game. I think maybe even in the fourth quarter. Wishkah Valley with a 26-20 win over Easton. Mary M. Knight with a 38-31 win over Lake Quinault. And
Go
Tahola.
Owls.
Go Owls. We're in Owls country out here. And then Tahola coming up with an 86-28 win over Evergreen Lutheran.
My dad said, "What about golf?"
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
No, he's right, actually. There was 2 articles about golf this week, and I just ran out of time. And I was like, I could sort through this and try to write up a little summary, but I didn't. As the season goes on, I'll make sure we have golf in there.
My dad keeps a close eye on all the golf scores because he's trying to gauge where my nephew needs to have his game by his freshman year next year to make varsity on any one of the local schools.
Are they golfing together? Like this is a thing that happens regularly? Or?
No, but my nephew is, you know Logan. He's a golfer. So my dad is,
I was curious.
My
if he
dad's
was, like,
probably more
mentor.
invested in it than Logan is.
Okay.
Of, his scores. So
Is that a mentor or a fan relationship? Like, is he giving him all kinds of tips and encouragement, or is it more like, hey, I'm just going to follow and see how well you do?
definitely used to be the mentor tips thing. But I think recently it's been more of the fan benefactor type relationship.
Oh, so whatever money Logan makes, he's got to split it with
Patron.
Like,
so when Logan gets to college, if he plays college golf and he gets NIL deals, your dad gets a cut of it. Is what I'm getting out of this.
I don't think it's that way. I think it's that my dad texted me before you said that. He said, "How much NIL should Logan get to play?"
It's got to be
good
7
stuff.
figures. That's all I have to say.
That's funny. So yeah, no golf in this one. Those were the scores. I did hear some different things about the Rochester game. I heard that they had a really nice drive in the first half. I think in the
Aberdeen
first quarter.
did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they had another drive where they got down to the red zone, and then on 4th down, they threw an interception, but then the guy who picked it off fumbled the ball, and so they got another 4 downs to try at it, and they still weren't able to punch it in, and that was kind of a big deflator for the offense for the rest of the game.
So I haven't seen Aberdeen or Hoquiam yet this year. I'm very excited. This week is going to be the first time that I'm going to.
You better be there next week.
Yeah.
You need to call in sick or something to make sure.
Well,
also, you know what? I'll hold the mic open for you.
Yeah.
If you just want to come whenever you can.
That's probably what we'll do.
Okay.
I'm gonna try my best to make it there before kickoff.
Right.
Because I've been following Monty very closely. I worked for the Vidette, and then I had kids in the football program at Montesano.
Right.
I haven't been to a Myrtle Street rivalry game in years, and it's one of my favorite events that we have. Any event in any genre locally, one of my favorites is the Myrtle Street rivalry game, and I haven't been to one in a really long time, and I'm very excited for Friday.
Aberdeen's trying to make it 5 in a row, I believe. They went through an entire age class. Because I think Hoquiam had won it 5 in a row the previous year, or the previous 5 years. And I think it was at Kylan Touch's senior year.
That would make
was
sense.
the last year that they lost. Because I remember Kylan, we were like, man,
Go back
of
to
anybody who
2019.
deserves to get a Myrtle Street win, it's Kylan Touch, and wasn't able to make it happen. But yeah, that was back to 2019, I think.
Oh no, my
What's up?
wife just texted me a reminder.
You have something on Friday? Bruh.
I have to be at the Monty game.
You
Why?
have to cancel it.
My daughter is performing. Her cheer squad's performing at halftime. Can't
she
miss
won't
that.
be able to tell if you're there or not.
Can't miss that. I forgot about that because they're also performing during the youth games on Saturday. But Friday's the big stage.
You can't Facebook Live it or FaceTime it.
No.
Darn I know that can't happen. But okay, I'll contact my other backup.
Okay. Is it Andrew?
No,
It is not Andrew.
it's not Andrew. It's
Do you know how
Brett
far
Peelan.
down the list of backups
Oh,
I
okay.
Brett Peelan said he was interested to do some broadcasting
Awesome.
with me.
Great.
So yeah, hopefully he can make it. So I'll save my voice a little bit. But it will be 2 Grizzlies on the call if that's the case. So some Aberdeen people might get upset.
You want me to find an Aberdeen
I'll
guy for
start
you?
filing
No.
the paperwork.
Whatever. You're an eagle owl. You're just a weird bird right now.
Andrew's such a front
It's a
runner.
weird bird.
An eagle owl.
Yeah. Let's see. Crunch said a couple things talking about how he doesn't care about Lewis County sports. Bitcoin Hoodie Guy says Monty will destroy Elma.
I concur.
Bitcoin Hoodie Guy says, is Fort Vancouver the worst team ever? They got destroyed by Stevenson.
Yeah, Fort Vancouver is the worst team ever, yes. And they
Which is
have been the
crazy.
worst team ever for like the last 3 years or
Yeah,
so.
you know what's weird, though? They used to be like a good big school. You talk to Mr. Gross, who played for Kelso, and they would go down and play Fort Vancouver, who was like a big squad.
Are we talking about like 70s?
Back when,
Yeah, 70s, 60s,
60s,
70s, 70s.
early 70s, I think.
I think your dad graduated in 72.
Yeah.
Not positive on that, but
So late 60s, early 70s.
yeah. And
Back
then
when
Daniel
Aberdeen was a rival with Kelso.
Yeah, and Hoquiam. Hoquiam played up.
Yeah.
Hoquiam was a 1A school that played up into 2A back in the day. Or 2A played up to 3A. I can't remember, but they
think
played up
3A.
apparently. Daniel then says Roundup kills weeds. It's genetically based crops. And then he said Logan is so good that he beat a golf pro.
Which one? Noel? Did he beat Noel?
I don't know. But I trust Daniel.
I hope that he's not like saying that my nephew was somehow implicated in Ronnie hurting himself. Because Ronnie gave Logan a lesson not too long ago. And then after the lesson, he was walking around showing Logan some stuff on the course. And I don't know what happened, but somehow he like tore his hamstring or quad or something like that.
We're talking about Ronnie Espedal Sr.?
Yeah.
Local golf pro?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, I think he's Ronnie Jr.
Oh, he's Ronnie Jr.
And I think,
Yeah, it's very confusing.
and then the Ronnie we broadcasted was Ronnie the Third.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's too many. You guys need we need to switch to a different name on the next round.
But next he can do IV.
And then Daniel said, ah, ha, ha, ha,
cool.
yes, that was the joke.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
Well, let's talk about
Threats of violence.
Daniel, let's talk about, well, first of all, biggest win of the week.
Sorry, I just realized this makes a cool sound.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yes. All right.
Oh, like you can talk, Captain Derailment.
Biggest win of the week.
Yes.
This needs to be discussed.
Yes, it does. The Hoquiam Grizzlies.
No, it wasn't that. It was a
James Madison taking down North Carolina.
Rob Burns made a grammatical error in our text group,
yep.
and
So true, King.
I corrected
So
him,
true.
and then he was like, "No, I'm right," and I was like, "No, I'm right." And
The
then
fact that you had the chutzpah to go back after it after he said
I
he was
did it
right.
real passively, though.
Yes, you did.
I was like, "Rob, you're the man. Also, you taught me everything I know, and I think you're wrong."
Yeah.
And then he came back and he was like, "I looked it up. You're right. It's
Yep.
late. We had a bad week of picks, which is true. All of us. Absolute catastrophe."
Yes. Yeah, and a grammatical error by Rob
This
Burns.
all happened late Friday night.
Yeah, poor
Saturday
Andrew.
morning, I drove into service, and my phone didn't stop dinging for like 4 miles.
Yeah, 92 missed text messages.
And then he seemed to like passive aggressively blame us for it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "No, it's your fault for living in the middle of Eagle Owlsville."
The edge
This
of
is
nowhere.
this is how much we trust Rob. He was spelling somebody's name that we know very well was auto-correcting to a different name in his texts. And I trust Rob so much that I literally started wondering if I'd been calling Brendan the wrong name for like 15 years.
We've known Brendan for so long, and like just the idea in my mind that you question yourself on that was absolutely crazy to me. But no, Rob, Rob and Rick Anderson as well, like they were
Yeah.
both my editors at different points.
Yep.
And I would submit articles, and then I would look at the published article, and I would compare, like, here's what I submitted, and here's what the correct. I learned a lot actually just from comparing the two,
Yeah.
and then looking up why did they do that, and they were always right. So the idea that Rob was wrong at all, and I think I should be nominated for Athlete of the Week for that.
I'll throw it in there.
Okay.
King. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
let's talk about the game.
Well,
I'd
okay.
like to exercise my veto power.
Complete breakdown of the game. Before the game started, Rick Anderson came up to the booth
Awesome.
to check in on Ian and I, and
eat some
Ian
of the-
and me.
did-
check in
did
on me.
Keith
To
Ryan
check
Van-
in on me. Rob just influenced what I said there.
Sorry, I don't mean to sidetrack. Did Keith Ryan Van bring popcorn?
Yes, he
So
did.
that's why Rick came up to the booth.
Absolutely, that's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point.
That's legendary popcorn.
Yeah, it is.
So
I
good.
snuck over at halftime and got some.
Yeah.
And he said that he was shocked to find out that Ian won't be at the Myrtle Street rivalry game.
Yeah.
And he said now that Rob and him are not at the Daily World anymore. Ian is like the elder statesman of local sports.
It's true.
And he compared it to, he said it's like if Jim Nantz wasn't broadcasting the Masters. And I was like, yeah.
So
the voice
Rob-
of Grace Harbor High School sports, Ian Cope, not at the Myrtle Street rivalry game, is like Jim Nantz not covering the Masters.
Basically, Ian Cope is Jim Nantz.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
But with less
Apples to
commitment.
apples.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. A tradition unlike any other. So, yeah, I thought that was very high praise, but I agree with it.
Yeah.
Ian's been doing this. I think this
Does
is his
Ian? So was Ian there
25th?
when he said that?
He said it when Ian wasn't there,
Okay.
and then I was like, oh, that would make anybody feel good. So he repeated it when Ian then got up into the booth.
So Ian, I'm curious how Ian. I do want to talk about the Hoquiam game. I'm curious how Ian responded though, because Ian does this like faux humility thing, where when he gets compliments, he'll pretend like it's not true, when even in his head he believes it.
I think he was truly touched
Okay.
because of who was giving him this compliment.
Okay.
It wasn't you or me, some random schmoes who loved to poke him. It was the legendary Rick Anderson paid him that compliment. So I think he was genuinely appreciative of it.
Good.
To be honest. Yeah, it was good. So the game started, right? That's what games do.
At the beginning?
At the beginning, the game started. At
How
the
much
beginning
time
of it.
was left?
So,
60
know,
minutes?
space.
How big was the field, Daniel?
Space.
You have to think about the passage of time and the significance of the passage of time.
Yes, and
how
when a
it
football game
affects-
starts-
Oh yeah.
That is the time of which it was scheduled to start. And then when the game starts, the time passes. And quarterbacks also pass.
Yes. Yes.
It comes full circle.
This is a really good answer.
It is.
I'm getting emotional, not going to lie.
You should be
Thank you,
elected
Andrew.
the president of this show.
I should be. I'm already the president of a fan club on this show.
True. I'm the cartographer.
Yes,
But he wasn't elected.
I took it
I
myself.
think we did it. I think we elected you by majority vote.
I
So-
think he was the founding member and elected himself.
I wrote the rules. Raymond South Bend starts with the ball. They get the opening kickoff because they elect to receive. They're like, we want to set the tone for this game. And boy, did they. 8 plays, 4 minutes and 9 seconds off the clock. Just grinded down. Sorry, somebody commented and said, I feel like I'm listening to the debates.
Yeah.
Let's go, Hoquiam. Yes, you're right.
correct.
Sorry for the delay.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
No, that was funny. That was
yeah.
the funniest thing we've ever done.
It was close.
We haven't had a very good run of comedy.
Yeah. But, so Raymond South Bend opens the game by just seriously smashing it down Hoquiam's throat. And Ian and I were both very worried because we saw the result of that 8-play, 4-minute drive and we were like, uh-oh. Is that what this whole game is going to be like? Hoquiam responds with an 11-play drive of their own, and they cap it off with a Joey Bozich touchdown pass, which will be the theme of the rest of the game, but this one was to Ethan Byron. And this play was awesome. It was 4th and 3 or 4, I think, down at about the 10-yard line. And a little spot route to pick up the first down to Ethan Byron over the middle. He then is enveloped by a bunch of players. And I looked down to then start writing stuff down. And then Ian all of a sudden goes, he pops free. And I look up to see him like coming out of a pack of players and trotting into the end zone. So just a highlight right from the start from the Grizzlies. And then they get a stop, a 4 and out, or I think it was a 4 and out on the next play or on the next drive. And they go and score again. So on that one, it was a Bozich pass to Kingston Case, which great name, Kingston Case, awesome name for a football player. It was a beautiful pass over the top to the left side on a seam, and Kingston only 5'7", but he used all the leverage he could of like leaning inside on the defender, the safety that was covering him, and then at the last second like popped to the outside to catch the ball over his shoulder. So created the space he needed to against a taller defender by using his body to make sure that that defender had to stay inside away from the ball. It was just beautiful ball skills. Yeah, a lot of times you see really great athletes not know how to attack a ball in the air correctly. And in this game, I saw 2 players that just showed ridiculous instincts with that. Because sometimes, I mean, you see a DK Metcalf. Dude's 6'4", like a 40-inch vert. He should be able to win every jump ball ever.
And he doesn't.
Yeah. Because he just doesn't know either quite how to time his jump right or quite how to set himself up right to go get the ball. Or he gets bumped off his spot a little bit right before he jumps. Just a bunch of little things that you kind of have to naturally... I don't know how you teach it. I don't think you can teach it. There might be drills
that can teach you like certain parts of it, but because there's so many variables in that,
it's
it
a
would be
feel
tough
thing. It is a complete feel thing. And the other player in this game who had that was Lincoln Nemi. Because he did the exact same thing where it's just a feel of how to position your body against the defender and when to time your jump and how to maybe give him a little nudge right at the right time. Like
without getting an OPI call.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's those little things that just stand out when you're watching somebody who just has amazing ball skills. And Lincoln showed it. Case showed it. Case showed it on defense too. Because there's a couple times where it looked like he might be beat over the top with a post. And yet he makes the decision, no, I can cut under this one. And it makes you panic a little bit because all of a sudden you see him like going from behind on the hip to underneath. And you're like, oh, if he misses this, it's a touchdown. But he makes the decision like, yeah, I could get the tackle if I stay where I am trailing the guy. But if I cut under this, then I can knock it away at the last second. And he did it twice, where it's like he comes under the post route, reaches out, tips the ball away at the last second. And you're like, oh, what a sick play. But if you don't have that instinct, you try and do that and you miss and it's a touchdown and you look real dumb. So I was just extremely impressed. Case was also the leading rusher for Hoquiam, and he looked really good. Their offensive line, especially the right side of it, they were running behind, let's see, who are the big guys they were running behind? It was A.J. Young, which I don't remember him from the last few years, but he's a senior, 6'2", 320 pounds, and he moved pretty well. Too. Like he made some good plays on defense. A lot of times you see anybody over 300 pounds in our league and you're like, all right, but can he move? And he did.
Usually the answer is no.
Exactly. Usually the answer is no. So they ran a lot behind. That's Monty's roster. They usually ran.
Oh, read off some of that.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
They usually ran behind him at guard. No, he was at tackle. Oh, dang it. I got to reset the settings on this thing. They ran behind him at tackle, and then Ryan Puller, I think, was at guard. One of those are at tackle, one was at guard. And then their center was Memphis Arama at 5'9", 237. So it was a line of 320, 237, and 233.
Some big boys.
Some big boys, and if you've ever watched Ryan Puller play, he's very quick and agile. So not just big and slow.
Do they run plays where he pulls? Because if Puller is the puller,
Puller's pulling. I'm sure they do.
That's wordplay, and it's fun.
Yes.
Did you guys do that on the broadcast at all? That's a missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity, dude. I'm gonna be looking for that in the Myrtle Street rivalry game. Winston Kaikaka made some excellent plays on defense. He was also a fullback for him.
Yeah, when I was listening at the end of the broadcast, that was a name I kept hearing.
Yeah, played a heck of a game. Nick Estes looked good for him. Gustavo Mendez Ordonez looked good for him. There was just a bunch of guys that I wasn't expecting, and yet watching this game, I was like, this is not the team that I heard about in the Jamboree. I couldn't fathom how this team could look as bad as the perspective I thought I was hearing from the Jamboree. Mm-hmm. It seemed like they just had too many dudes. And I was really bummed out. There's a freshman on this team, the son of somebody I played with. His name's Knight Turpin. He's out with an AC sprain in his shoulder.
Oh,
so
you're always better with a Turpin.
I was bummed out that I didn't get to watch him play. I guess I just assumed that he's playing as a freshman. He's on the roster, but I don't know how much playing time he gets. But Turpins tend to...
I mean, he's a Turpin.
Turpins tend to find their way on the field, right? So, I don't know. Like I said, Ethan Byron, Joey Bozich played excellent. Joey also played really good at linebacker, which was not something I expected.
We didn't even know going into the season if Joey was going to play defense.
Yeah, he played really well at linebacker.
Good.
Joey looks like he's fitting into his body a little bit better. You kind of see that as you go from underclassmen. A lot of underclassmen don't quite fit themselves yet.
Like you get a little clunky in your 14 and 15-year-old
while you're
year.
growing into your he looks like a dude now. So I was very excited to watch him play. Kingston Case was great. Ethan Byron, Lincoln Nemi just adds a whole nother dimension, and he's looking like he's kind of filling out his body now too. So I mean, this is a team that was much better than what I expected.
My takeaway from seeing Lincoln in football gear was he looked big.
Yeah.
And I never, when we watched him in basketball, I never really felt like, I mean, he's big, but it's not that's a big guy. But he looked big.
Yeah.
And out there playing receiver. So
yeah, he looks strong too.
Yeah, really strong.
And looking for contact on defense, I think this makes sense. On offense, he actually blocked pretty well, which, that was something when you go from not playing football for a while.
Yeah.
There's things you would expect a really good athlete to be good at, and he is good at those things, which is catching the ball when it's up in the air. But he blocks pretty well, which I didn't know if that was to be the case. And he plays pretty good defense, but there was a couple times where that I'm going to go make a play. Oops. That probably should have kept on my assignment.
Yeah.
That happened a couple times. But
That's
other than
probably
that,
a repetition. Like the more you play, the less those kind of things happen.
exactly. There was a time where he was like, I'm going to go make a sack. And then the ball was just thrown over the top of him. It was like, oh. Yeah. But other than that, he played excellent. And like I said, Joey played really good quarterback too. So it was a great game. Joey went 12 for 24, 172 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have 2 picks though. The second half, both of these teams, I mean, the first, let's a quick breakdown. I know I'm talking a bunch here, but the first half the drives went touchdown, touchdown, turnover on downs. This is both teams, just running touchdown, 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 fumble recovery by Hoquiam, fumble by Hoquiam, touchdown, touchdown, and 7 seconds left on that was the other thing. Hoquiam executed a perfect 2-minute drill, going 53 yards. They got a big return from Ethan Byron again to set that up. His returns were just, sometimes you watch really fast kids who juke around and run around on the outside and then get like a 5-yard return.
Right.
The great return guys get north and south quick and then bounce it outside and start to make things happen.
It's like a 1 or 2 cuts and then you're off to the races.
And he did it time and time again, and they kicked it to him every time because the other guy who was in back there waiting was Kingston Case. Definitely the most explosive guy on the field for Hoquiam, so they kicked it away from him every time, and Ethan made him pay every single time with a good return.
Ethan, I believe, a sophomore?
Yeah. Sophomore. And they finished that drive off with 7 seconds left on the clock. That's how they went into halftime up 28-20. And then after that, in the second half, the game changed a lot. Hoquiam started with the ball. They went down for a touchdown. Again, after another big return. They started at the Raymond South Bend 49. 4 plays later, deep ball to Nemi again, touchdown. And then the game definitely took a shift because it went punt, interception, fumble, turnover on downs, interception, touchdown Raymond South Bend, turnover on downs, end of game. So the second half really changed. And in my mind, it looked like both teams were exhausted.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at it, and outside of a couple of linemen coming on for Hoquiam for offense and a couple of linebacker types coming off, it basically looked like the same 11 guys were playing the whole game for Hoquiam, which you see a lot in small football, but it even seemed more pronounced in this game against Raymond South Bend, which basically was the same thing. It was like, these are our best dudes, and they're just going to have to do it. And so by the end of the game, it seemed like there was a lot of tired legs.
Yeah, for sure. I think looking back on it and hearing the way you talked about him, and also I did see Kingston Case play a little bit at the Jamboree and thought he looked quick and explosive.
Yeah.
Probably felt a little disrespected not seeing himself on our players to watch list preseason.
Yeah.
We tried. We were reaching out to people, trying to figure out who were the players to watch, and his name hadn't come up, and it's awesome to see that he's been able to be a big impact for them so far.
Yeah, so he finished with 24 carries for 149 yards and a touchdown reception.
Okay.
And
very nice.
Yeah. And I think he had 3 catches, but it was only it says 3 catches for 8 yards. I wonder if I messed something up here because
Math is hard.
the touchdown catch, no, it was 3 catches for 48 yards.
Okay.
That's what it was. 3 catches for 48 yards.
Really, you were just missing a 4. You were right besides that.
You know what's weird is I kind of scribbled a little weird, so it looked like 3 for 4, 8 yards.
Okay.
And I was like, why did I write down targets? I never write down targets. No, it was just 3 for 48 yards.
You got dad brain.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was Lincoln Nemi had 7 catches for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I wrote down that Byron, again, had great kick returns. Oh, also, so Raymond South Bend at one point went for a 2-point conversion in the first half, and they did it with a fake kick. They tried to do the old pitch to the kicker thing.
Oh, okay.
And he got stuffed. So Hoquiam then, on their next score, they were up by 14 after the touchdown, and so they go for 2. They line up to go for 2, and they run the Philly special.
Oh, okay.
And they ran it really well. They ran it so well that Ethan Byron was the guy who takes the pitch coming back the other way, and then he's supposed to toss it to Bozich, the quarterback in the end zone. Bozich is standing there by himself, but you can see Byron sprint to the outside and then look up like he's going to pass and then hesitate because there's nobody in front of him.
So
and he's
why
like,
would I throw it?
And then, so he's just like, I should probably just run this. And then he runs it into the end zone, but it was really funny because he was like, I could possibly screw up this throw, so I should just run it in. So that was pretty funny.
Bitcoin hoodie guy is wishing that he had Kingston Case on his fantasy team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That you should have had Kingston Case on your
Absolutely.
fantasy team. Real quick.
This is nothing to take away from Raymond South Bend, too.
I was about to ask you, can you I'm so glad we were able to cover Hoquiam
Sorry,
so
I just kind
thoroughly.
of gushed for a while there.
No, I wanted that because I legitimately wanted that because I feel like Hoquiam, especially in football, kind of becomes the local sports punching bag, and people sort of make fun of them and stuff. But this is a good win.
Yeah.
Like I don't know about like where Raymond South Bend is going to end up this season. That's been a really good program in 2B, and we've talked extensively about how the top portion, like top 15 or so teams in 2B, there's not a lot of separation between them and 1A. It's been really good. So this is a good win for Hoquiam, and they need to have a day where they get their flowers and they need to be celebrated for their win. So I'm glad we were able to do that. But I do want you to be able to give us a few players from Raymond South Bend that you noticed their performance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's the big 3, right? The dudes that we've been highlighting their names, not just at the start of this year, but for the last, well, at least last year, I feel like too, is Chris Quintana. Definitely a name that we mentioned a ton. He's a stud. He's
Basketball too.
He's playing quarterback for them now.
Filling the shoes of Austin Snodgrass, which is tough.
Absolutely. I mean, Austin's playing at the next level for a good reason now. And then you also have Isaac Schluter, who we've been talking about as well.
Speaking of filling big shoes, he's filling Farrell Johnson's shoes, who's also playing college football.
Absolutely. And Ian accidentally called him Isaac Shooter at one point, and I was like, hey, Schluter the shooter, let's go.
Shooter McGavin.
That was really dumb, but
I liked it.
You know what?
Which probably means it was dumb.
I just noticed Raymond and South Bend. Oh, okay. No, I guess they do still add up to just in 2B. So they're both 2B schools by themselves. And then, but they're still just under the 1A classifications. I was just curious, so I looked it up. So together, because the adjusted enrollment, they're at 221. When if they were,
enrollment numbers are complicated.
They are. The average enrollment puts them into 1A, but because of the adjustment, they're still 2B schools. So I was just curious to see how that all worked out. And then Chris Banker, another kid who we've been talking about a lot.
Super explosive athlete.
Yeah. So Schluter ended up being the big-time guy for Raymond South Bend in this one. He had 2 touchdown receptions. He had 2 catches for 31 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had he finished with 46 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. Quintana had 2 touchdown passes, and he also had 23 carries for 109 yards rushing. Banker had a touchdown run as well. I think he finished with about 70 yards rushing. Quintana had a massive run taken off the board by a penalty. And it was really weird because the same official called the same penalty 3 times almost in a row. It was definitely on plays, the same 3 plays. And Raymond South Bend's coaches could not figure out what was being penalized. But there was a receiver going in motion across the field and like coming in front and running like a little read play with the quarterback. And the same play 3 times in a row got flags.
Illegal motion or illegal procedure? What was the signal?
It was illegal procedure.
Okay.
So I don't know.
They do it like a false start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is there a different one for illegal motion? I thought that was
Illegal-
also a procedure penalty.
No, I think illegal motion has a different. I think it has a different signal from the
Gotcha.
refs. I could be wrong about that.
I don't know. So anyway, yeah.
Illegal shift is like
and
this.
the first one, right? The first one though was was like a 50-yard touchdown run, and so the Raymond South Bend coaches were right next to us, freaking out. Their guy on the sideline, their head coach on the sideline, was freaking out.
I asked the referee
So-
I know about that, because I noticed like false start always gets blown dead.
Right,
But
but
sometimes
that one they
make
let
that
the
signal,
play go.
But they let the play go.
Yeah.
And I think he was saying, if I remember right, he said that it's either that it's like somebody moved wrong or they moved forward before they were supposed to, but it's not a false start. So maybe the guy that was in motioned incorrectly in some way. I don't know.
gotta think that he thought they were going towards the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think
That's
of.
the only thing I could think of is it looked like he was going towards the line of scrimmage a little bit. So
Are we ready to shift to
I think we are.
football?
Um,
What are the chances of us
uh,
taking a commercial break
the
first
game-
for normal reasons?
the game ended with a sack by Kaikaka. That was awesome. But yeah, commercial break would probably be a good time right now since I find myself all alone. I don't like it.
So what are we gonna do next?
We are going to talk about Montesano's win and Elma's loss.
And pick a player of the week.
Well, yeah, that too.
Okay.
Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Domashevitz 9 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Domashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit domashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
Thank you again to our sponsors, the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz, no relation. What does the A stand for? And the Spivey Realty Group. Sounds weird when I say it all by myself.
I like it when you say it all by yourself.
A couple of comments to check out, or actually just one. Bitcoin Hoodie Guy says, dang, should I... Oh, you already read that. I got so distracted by
Did you
all
see
the
what
Hookman
Bitcoin
stuff.
Hoodie Guy said?
Yeah,
though?
I did. I did see that. Yep.
He said he wished he had Kingston Case on his fantasy team.
Kingston. Yes. I kept wanting to go like Jamaican accent when I was talking about Kingston, but then I thought better of it during the broadcast, and I didn't.
So I did consider
proud
the
of you.
possibility of going to Tumwater and watching Monty play Black Hills on Friday, but I really wanted to
Oh,
see.
you mean Blake?
Yeah, Blake.
Balake?
Yeah. And AA Ron.
Yep.
I wanted to see this Elma team. They had a home game, so I was like, all right, I want to check them out. I think Sequim will be the best test they've had this season, and I don't want to really drive to Olympia if I don't have to. I had already been there once that day.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't need to go there again.
You.
So I went to
Olympia.
Davis
Ugh.
Field, and by the way, you get like in some of these early season games, you kind of get the sunset.
You went to Davis? Oh, it's... So is it after this game that they're moving their home games?
Are they moving their home games?
Somebody told me that they're going to be playing at... Ian is under the impression that they're going to be playing at Aberdeen and Monty for some of their home games.
Are they starting their grandstand project, and so they're going to
Yeah,
play?
that's
elsewhere?
the thought. Yeah. So
Okay.
I thought that this was going to be one of those games, but now I remember you took a beautiful picture.
I did.
Because this time of year at Davis Field is amazing.
We have this at a lot of our local fields. You know, you get the sunset, so there's a really nice backdrop. And if you want to see the picture, you can go to our social medias, either Facebook or Instagram, and check it out. It was just beautiful. Right at the start of the game is when I took that. I think it was like maybe within the first 5 minutes or so. But I thought early on, like before the game, I knew like, okay, this is going to be the best test they've faced. But I think they've still got a good shot. I still felt like the Eagles had a good shot to come out on top. And seeing Sequim was bigger and stronger, and they did pass a little bit. Most of their passing was around the line of scrimmage, kind of roll out, screen pass stuff. Their quarterback, Sequim's quarterback, was a really good runner. Not like super fast, but shifty and slippery, and he was really good at finding the hole and just taking the yards that were in front of him. Tough. So a lot of long grinding drives, but this was a really close. The final score of 28-7 is annoying to me because this really was a super close game until the very end. There was 2 touchdowns scored by Sequim in the fourth quarter when Elma was having to go for it no matter what because they were behind, and they were going for it on fourth down, not making it, and ending up giving the ball to Sequim like really deep in their own territory and too late to just garbage time touchdowns. It really was a very close game. And there was a couple of things that happened that were kind of annoying. And I'm not going to be like the blame the refs guy, but you had, first of all...
But let's blame the refs.
Let's do it. So, first of all, you have like the amazing play by Blaze Salazar. And if you want to check this out, again, I posted this video to our socials. He just runs into the backfield and rips the ball away from the Sequim ball carrier and takes it like 30 yards for a touchdown. Awesome play. And that was Elma's lone touchdown, but that also happened with like 30 seconds left in the second quarter. So they went into halftime with a 7-6 lead. Sequim apparently didn't have a kicker because they went for 2 every time. So Elma had that lead. And then when the score, I think Sequim was up 12-7. And then Elma had a drive that, they got all the way. Sequim had a drive. This is okay. I'm going to remember this correctly now.
Okay.
Sequim was driving with Elma in the lead, and this was in the third quarter, and they had a couple of really bad penalties. Sequim did, so they were like in a 2nd and 25 or 3rd and 25 or whatever it was, and they got a pass interference call.
Oh, sorry. I just went and watched that Blaze Salazar play.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah, that's
you should watch it if you haven't seen it. It's pretty sick. I think that it was Blaze that actually got this pass interference called on him, but he really was just running with the receiver with his hands up. Like the contact was pretty minimal. I think if he turns his head, it's like a no-brainer, no call.
Yeah.
But they call this PI. It keeps the drive alive. And then another play or two later, there's a play where a Sequim guy has the ball over the middle, and Bo Muller comes and just rocks his world, like lights him up. But it was a clear, to me, looked like shoulder to shoulder contact, but it was significant. Like he blasted him, and they called it for helmet to helmet.
So anyway, he started blasting.
So they call him for helmet to helmet, and like the PI, I was like, okay, that kind of sucks, but I guess I can see why they called it.
Yeah.
The helmet to helmet hit, I was like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just call a penalty every time someone hits someone hard.
Yeah.
It was an awesome hit. And that kept that drive alive. And then Sequim ends up scoring a touchdown. So then they take the lead. Then later in the game, when the score was 20-7, Isaac McGaffey, which I will talk a little bit more about my thoughts on the way Isaac played in this game, but he was in a mode where it was like Sequim knew who Ethan Camus was. Like it was very obvious that Sequim went into the game
They've been watching our show. Dang it.
Because there was
I knew
times
this could
where
happen.
Ethan was just, Isaac's creating time. Ethan's running around trying to get open, and there's just guys all over the place guarding him. And Isaac McGaffey just decided to take things into his own hands. And again, highlight, if you want to see it, go to our socials, because this was
sick.
I said at the time, one of the best plays, one of the best runs I've ever seen. It was maybe like a 60 or 70 yard play where Isaac's rolling out to the left, breaks a couple tackles, goes back towards the middle, breaks a couple more tackles, goes upfield, breaks a few more tackles, and then gets in the open field for like a huge touchdown run, which at the time,
It was awesome.
what Elma needed was for one of their dudes to break out for a big play because they were really struggling to get offensive pop. Like they were getting a few plays, getting a couple of first downs, but having a hard time sustaining, and they weren't getting anything big. They weren't getting explosive plays. They needed that.
Yeah.
And
then he did it.
All the energy, and then all of a sudden you look back and there's a flag on the field. And at the time I was like, I was watching. I didn't see anything, like nothing that seemed like it would be flagged. No holding, no block in the back or anything like that. They call it back.
What was the call?
They did this. When there's a helmet to helmet call, it's like this, right? They put the hand to the head.
Yeah.
They did this. They put their two fists together in the middle. Crackback block.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know what that was, and also the PA announcer didn't know what it was because they were like, "There's a penalty on the field."
Yeah.
Didn't say what it was.
Yeah, and you see crackback blocks a lot called in that situation where the quarterback's just kind of running around. In my mind, they are way too quick to call that because I think if you catch the person with your arms, it's supposed to be okay.
You're supposed to lead with your hands.
Yeah, lead with your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the rule probably better than I do. You have a son that just stopped playing high school football. But
this happened actually to one of my son's teammates, or somewhere in that area, like 7th, 8th grade, where he got just absolutely blasted by an Aberdeen player.
Yeah.
Not trying to be malicious, but like the player was coming from the other side, and instead of leading with his hands, he led with the shoulder.
Yeah.
And just rocked him.
Yeah.
And that was the day that I learned that rule.
Yeah.
That they've changed it to where, you can block from the blind side, but you have to lead with your hands.
Yep.
If you lead with anything else, you're going to get called for
Yeah.
it. But I watched back on that film, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah. Because
So-
usually it only gets called for like a destruction.
Yeah, and maybe
But
it's there, but I didn't see it.
Every now and then you'll see them call it when the kid kind of goes like like the it's not really leading with your shoulder, it's more like flinching with your shoulder because they go to hit and then they're like, oh, I probably shouldn't do it, and they just gonna curl up. To me, I'm like, come on. Yeah, I know that he technically didn't lead with his hands, but he obviously didn't go blow somebody up. By the way, getting crackback blocked is like the hardest I've ever been hit in my life.
I guess that's why there's a rule.
Yeah, it is it's nuts.
So when that happened, when we all thought that this was a 2-score game and Isaac McGaffey just stole the momentum and made it a 1-score game, and then it was all ripped away. And then, I'll give the Elma players credit because they tried really hard to keep the energy going. But at that point, it was like, towards in the fourth quarter, like you were saying, they had 11 dudes and they all played the whole game.
Right.
They were exhausted. I think partly because they do have so many guys that are playing both ways the whole time, but also because Sequim was legitimately strong. And when you go in and you're just grinding against really strong guys for 3.5 quarters, it gets really hard by the end of the game to keep it going, especially when you're losing. So, I think that's kind of what happened. This game was way closer than the final score of 28-7. As far as Elma's offense goes, I think that a lot of the best things that they did were when they were able to run the ball outside. They really, really struggled to get inside runs going. They had a few good things when McGaffey got out on the run. Isaac did have some throws where the throw is a tiny bit off, and maybe either it's just out of reach of the receiver or it's low, so he can catch it, but he can't do anything with it afterwards. But he also made some really great throws, and in the fourth quarter, there was a couple of drops that just really killed drives. So but at that point, again, like I said, they were deflated, they were exhausted. It was kind of predictable what was happening. But I think that what this team will need is to get their playmakers out to pop off for big plays. You need Ethan Camus, you need Dayton Brookings, you need Bull Muller to break out the other side of a pile and get some big yards, and you need to be able to get McGaffey on a rollout to go run. And they had some success, but just couldn't pop off for explosive plays. So I do think that based on what we've seen so far this season, this was not the best representation of Elma. I think they had an off night.
Right.
So I do think if they can go back and play, take the best things of what they did through the first couple of weeks and build on it, that they'll be fine going forward. I do want to mention there was one guy who I wasn't super familiar with.
Real quick, William McGaffey says all Elma home games will be at Davis Field. The project will start after the football season.
Okay.
So that's good to know. Also good to know that we won't have an Aberdeen situation like we had a while ago, where they're
Right.
just like, let's
Play everywhere else.
and not get the field done in time, and then practice turns into a nightmare. Also, real quick, I just noticed that by putting just the beaver on my headphone, it's also not too orange, but it is an Oregon State beaver. None of that Tenino nonsense. That's gross.
Good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, just thought I'd point that out.
And I'll say this for Davis Field, like I've seen some pretty yucky Davis Fields. I know it's early and it hasn't been super wet, but the field looks pretty good.
Oh, I bet this early in the season without much rain, I bet it's pristine.
It looks really good, and it wasn't like there were players slipping around all over the place.
As was Hoquiam, because Olympic Stadium
yeah.
can get pretty gnarly late in the season, but this was a fast track.
And I feel like that's fun at Olympic Stadium when it gets kind of muddy, as long as one of my kids isn't playing in it, and I'm the one who has to try to get the uniform clean afterwards.
Especially when they hit the infield on the other side.
I was gonna say I don't want to make this argument, but there's part of me that is partial to the argument that turf, like artificial turf, shouldn't be allowed in football. Like the history of those wet, muddy fields is so cool.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I do
something
get what you're saying.
Very, very integral to the like original football that is lost
just
without
like
a muddy field.
It's just leatherheads.
Yes.
Everybody's so
Yes.
muddy you can't tell who's on which team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get like the picture of the quarterback afterwards when the line did a really good job and their jerseys are all dirty, but the quarterback's jersey is white, and they take a picture together after the game.
Those pictures are awesome.
I did want to specifically shout out one player on defense that I wasn't super familiar with, but I thought had a really good game. Donovan Kalikowski. He wears number 54. He plays interior defensive line. There were several times, and I think Elma struggled in general on late down and distance defensive situations. Like there was a whole bunch of times where they had either had Sequim in a fourth down or they had him at like 3rd and 12.
Right.
And they were really struggling to stop him. But I thought Dayton did a really good job getting in the backfield. He made at least 3 that I remember plays in the backfield or at the line of scrimmage. And there was also a couple times where the play, and he's an interior defensive lineman, and the play's like 12 yards downfield, and I hear a tackle by Donovan Kalikowski. And I was like, all right, so this kid's having quite a game. I thought he played really well, and I wanted to make sure I gave him a little shout out.
What's his first name?
Donovan.
Okay.
What did I say?
That last time you said Donovan, but earlier you called him Dayton. So I just wanted to make sure which one was right.
Dayton
there.
is Brookins.
Autocorrect.
So
Autocorrect.
I may have been mixing up my Eagles.
That makes sense.
Dayton Brookins, and also Eli Roberts and Colby Rodemacher. I would give shout outs to those guys for making some good plays. Colt Landstrom, I thought, also did some good things out there. I didn't get, as the cartographer of the Ethan Camus fan club, I didn't quite get my dose of Ethan Camus that I wanted.
Right.
But I felt like he caught a few passes. They're all short. I felt like he was trying to get downfield. Elma wanted to try to stretch the field because Sequim wanted to play everything in a really tight space.
Gotcha.
And there were plays where McGaffey was rolling out and buying all kinds of time because he's super athletic. And, Ethan's out there just trying his darndest to run all over the place, but there'll be a guy guarding him low and outside, and then he turns back, and then there's a guy deep and outside, or deep and inside. So, there was nowhere most of the time that he could go where there wasn't a defender right there to pick him up.
He was the focal point.
I felt like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to ask Sequim's coaches to be like, did you guys just decide you were going to do the Bill Belichick thing and just take Ethan Camus away?
Yeah.
But whatever they did, it worked because Elma didn't get an offensive touchdown. So I think we could shift towards our athlete of the week nominees here, and we have several.
We got a lot. Yeah.
And most of them were actual nominees that were sent in by people who are not me.
Real quick,
Allegedly.
my dad remembers when O.J. Simpson was known for being a football player.
I just watched The Naked Gun the other day.
Yeah, is he referenced in that?
He's in it. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And I told Hannah because we were watching it. He
was an
seen it
actor.
before. I was like, "That's O.J. Simpson." He was just a cool guy here. Nothing had happened yet.
He was a media darling.
Yeah.
Like he was a very popular football player and an actor for a little while.
Wow.
Before he became a murderer.
Yeah. My dad just texted that Oregon State beat USC and OJ Simpson in a mud bowl because it was like it was just a swamp and
Never happened today.
They beat him 3-0.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the national media after a game like that now?
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
They'd just be like, "Oh, this is the worst thing ever."
You know what? I bet there was, I even think there was some stories about how they were like purposely flooding the field. Even back then there was conspiracy on that, but that would obviously be the case here. Also, Dad, I'm using the computer that you gave me that didn't work that Andrew fixed. So just throwing that out there, since I know you're watching.
Very nice.
Yeah. Right, I'll just randomly hijack the show and talk to my dad for a second.
That's cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you should call your dad every once
Hi,
in a
Mr.
while.
Hargrove.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Call your dad, Daniel, after the show's over.
Okay, but we don't have cell reception. here.
Well, wait till you drop me off and then call him on your way home.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys can chat about Beaver football and whatnot.
Hands free.
Beaver football won again, by the way, and they
3-1 now.
and they beat a Big Ten school.
Go Beavs.
Which one?
Purdue.
Oh. So the Pac-2 is 7-1.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dominant.
Daniel, this is something that
Wait,
I was.
have we played? We haven't played 4 games yet. Aren't they only 3 games?
I think they're
No,
at
it's
4.
Well, so Wazoo's
4-0.
4-0 and
Yeah.
Oregon State's 3-1.
3-1, yeah.
Yeah. Pac-2 football, man.
You guys
Conference of
lost
Champions.
Oregon State has lost to the 8th ranked team in the nation.
Oh, that's a good point. That's the only loss.
How come Oregon State and Washington State aren't ranked, Daniel?
Gee, I wonder why. It's almost because the TV networks and all the media are just trying to murder that league.
Well, they don't own us.
I don't know.
The TV networks don't own us.
They don't own us.
So,
It's almost like they hate us because they hate us. Sorry, I feel like that voice fit that quote. But yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle to get any recognition from the media when the media doesn't own the only 2 schools there. Like,
I will say,
so dumb.
Boise State is currently ranked 25th, and WSU was unofficially ranked 26th because they were the team
Some
that
receiver,
had the most, and we play next week. So
Gotcha.
So next week, if WSU takes care of their business,
Let's
should
get
be
down
ranked.
to business. Sorry.
To defeat
The Huns. There we go.
Did they send me daughters when I asked for sons?
I love it. You know what's great is I kind of expected you to just jump into that, and you nailed it.
I wanted to wait till you were talking so I could interrupt with Donnie Osmond.
It was awesome. Good old Donnie Osmond. Daniel says the slog and the grind of a rugby match on a muddy field where you're covered in mud and there's a bit of blood.
Yeah.
Those are the memorable times.
I would say
for
if
sure.
I think
Also,
of rugby, slog, grind, and blood are a few of the first words I think of.
Yeah, that's probably accurate.
yeah, I gotta say, also memorable times playing rugby is getting absolutely demolished by Daniel Gross on the rugby field. I think my sternum still feels that, even though it's like 15 years ago. Daniel also
Are we old?
Have you ever seen the video of or maybe this is just a story that I heard told.
of me getting demolished by
Justin,
Daniel
no,
Gross?
very
This
quiet.
lady, I'm sorry, I don't want people to potentially be offensive.
What are we talking about?
This lady gets up in front of her church to ask for prayer for something.
Yeah.
And she's talking about her husband's injured sternum.
Yes,
And
I
she
have
goes
seen
through
that
this
video.
whole thing,
Yeah.
and she talks for a whole bunch. And
It's so
But
good.
she doesn't say sternum.
She didn't say sternum.
She
No.
says scrotum. So everyone thinks he has an injured scrotum.
Oh no!
And then he gets up and says, thank you for the prayers. It's my sternum.
That poor lady.
That's so funny.
Okay.
After the service,
You
when
know
he
what?
explained
As we're
what a
talking
scrotum
about
was,
this
she
at-
was very embarrassed.
So
Yeah.
athlete of the week.
So, Athlete of the Week, the most watched portion of our show. Let's get back to, actual football.
This
Good
is your
Lord.
fault. You said sternum.
You know what? My dad is gonna get me on me for this.
That's an actual medical, like it's an actual term.
medical term. Yeah, there's some other medical terms we're not gonna use on the show though.
Femur. That's biology.
Our nominees. I feel like we should have a drum roll for the nominees.
Humorous.
Stop it.
Okay.
Stop it. Bristol Toll, the leader in the clubhouse. Ocosta Soccer, 9 goals and 3 assists in wins over RSB and Il Waco.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. 5 goals and 4 goals. Is that what it was?
Yeah, and also there was apparently a potential scoring discrepancy. She might have had 10 goals, but officially in the books, it's 9 goals and 3 assists.
Oh, was it? Oh, dude. Was it a situation where she kicked it and somebody may have tipped it in?
Yeah, I think so. Also, that if it had been
I had that happen to me once.
it would have been double gluts.
Double gluts.
It would have been back-to-back gluts.
See, I was actually more excited when it happened to me when I had that scoring discrepancy because mine made my stat line sound cooler, giving the other person the goal.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. But yeah, you're not going to ask me what happened?
What happened?
Now who's the problem?
Rotator cuff.
I'm a problem. I had 3 goals and 3 assists in one game.
Hip flexor.
That's what happened. But it could have been 4 and 2. Anyway.
I'm just
so
naming
Bristol
out pieces
Toll.
of anatomy. This is going to get bad.
Bristol Toll's really good. Mia Hood for Aberdeen girls swimming. Justin, what exactly did Mia do? Remind the viewers if we have any left after our just ridiculous rabbit trailing.
Sure. Do you know, just so I can clarify, do you know that it's Mia? It's
What did I say?
You said Mia.
Oh, okay.
It's M-I-J-A.
Is it Miha?
I don't know. I was
Okay.
just asking.
Sorry. No, I just read it.
You're probably
Possibly
right.
incorrect.
You're
It could be
probably
Mia.
right. I just want to make sure, like, I want to be sensitive to people's names being pronounced properly. So if you know clarification on that, please, please let
I
us
just
know.
hope it's not Mija.
In the,
I don't think it's Mija.
Yeah, it could be. In the tri-swim meet, she had 2 relay wins and 2 individual wins. So 4 wins total for her, for Aberdeen girls swimming.
We also had Lexi LeBounty with Hoquiam volleyball.
And that was an outside nominee that came in for her 30...
Was that the 30 digs?
30 digs for...
Yeah, she had 30 digs for Hoquiam against Aberdeen in the Myrtle Street rivalry.
Big time. You get the escalator of it being in the rivalry game. Also, Lexi LeBounty, definitely an athlete name that we're very familiar with. She's good across multiple sports. Torrin Kreitz for Montesano football scored 3 touchdowns in their huge statement win over Black Hills. Mason Rasmussen, as we talked about, in playing injured, by the way, playing through back injury, 2 kick return touchdowns. And in fact, he doesn't even usually return kicks. He's there because Tarek Gunter was out with an injury in the game.
Well, and maybe he will now.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Well, one thing we know about Mason is when he hits top speed, he's super fast.
He's real
so
fast.
the first kick return, I have videos of both. I intend to post. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. The first one, he breaks a couple tackles, gets to the sideline, and then just outruns everyone. And then, Daniel, you've seen that little handoff play that Monty runs that other teams run too, but they do it almost every time, it feels like. That he runs it and he executes the fake handoff and hides the ball so well that half the other team goes the other way.
Nice.
And then he's just off to the races and runs down the sideline for another touchdown. He also had an interception in that game.
Dude, is my eyesight getting worse, or are people getting really good with their fake handoffs in the backfield?
It was really hard watching that video to tell who had the ball, honestly. Yeah, little column A.
It was. I got faked out by Quintana a ton.
Yeah. Yeah, and then again, I'm like, there's a part of me that's a little disappointed that we didn't have someone at the Monty game because they needed to not just win that game, knowing that number one, Black Hills is just kind of okay / maybe not very good, and also they were super injured. Right. They needed to not just win that game; they needed to make a statement and be like, "Hey, I know we were 0-2, but we're still here," and they did that. Yep. They won big.
Absolutely.
And then we have Joey Bozich from Hoquiam football.
Yeah, 12 for 24 passing for 172 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a bunch of great tackles as well, and had a couple of nice runs too. So. Big time performance for Hoquiam getting their first win of the season.
The 4 touchdowns, I think, being the big thing there. Yeah. Huge stats there for Joey. And then we got a couple more from Coach Eddie from the Grays Harbor Gulls. One was Manny Gomez. He plays for the Gulls boys U10 team. He contributed in an 8-1 win against Mount Rainier FC with 3 goals and 3 assists to help his team to improve to 4-0 on the season. They have scored 36 goals and only allowed 6 in those 4 games. So good job, the boys U10 team. 3 goals and 3 assists. Like, that should have a name. Like, does 3 assists have a name?
That's what I told you. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I had 3 goals and 3 assists.
So what do we call that?
I don't know.
He had a
should
hat
make him
trick
a name
of
for
goals and a hat trick of his...
Triple?
A double triple.
Double triple.
It's a double
It's a double trip.
So good job by Manny Gomez having a double trip with the boys U10 team for the goals. And then this is an interesting one. And the next one is Sana Toll. And if that last name sounds familiar,
yeah,
yes, she is Bristol Toll's younger sister.
Look out.
Another one?
Sana plays for the Gulls U14 team.
Oh, so they're going to be playing together here in a second.
I don't know how old she is though, because remember Bristol was playing with like U16 when she was 13.
That's
so
a good point.
I don't know what Sana's age is.
Sana's probably like 8 years
She's probably
old.
8, playing with 13-year-olds. So in 2 games this past weekend, both were wins, 1-0 and 3-0, and she scored all 4 goals. So she did maximum scoring for her team, scored 100% of the goals, 4 goals across 2 games. And that combined with Bristol's awesome week for Ocosta has been a very good week for the Toll sisters. But yeah, Manny Gomez and Sana Toll for the goals are the other nominees.
Yep. Patrick Rasmussen says number 18 has my vote. Shocker, Patrick. I'm just going to throw it out there.
I mean,
and then Daniel says, I don't know how she prefers it, but he knew Amiha, and it was pronounced Miha, not Mia. So
I think if I had full stats from the Monty football game, it might be easier to try to, pick one of those guys. I'm sure Torrin had a great game. I believe Zach Timmons had 2 touchdowns. Gabe Bahala scored a touchdown. And, Mason, obviously one of my favorite players, having 2 kick returns for a touchdown. They were both like, if they weren't 99 yards, they were almost 90. Like they were somewhere between 96 and 99 yards, both of them. And just the wheels. And then also having an interception, knowing that he's playing through some pain. I think Mason is absolutely a good candidate. Mm-hmm. It's just really hard to look at this list and not look at Bristol Toll and be like,
yeah.
It's
a different level.
Not 9. Okay. And so
9 is a lot.
Yeah.
We have some times where like these kind of things happen and then you realize that they're playing against like lower classification teams.
Yeah.
And that's not what happened here. Ilwaco's the 2B team, and then the other team, I thought it was Hoquiam. Did I get that
I thought it was
wrong?
Raymond South Bend.
It says Raymond South Bend on our show sheet.
I think I might have made a mistake there because I think I put Hoquiam in the roundup. But anyway, it's not like, she went and played against Lake Quinault or something. And played against a really small.
Shots fired.
Yeah,
No.
It's not like they played against Miriam Knight.
Hey!
I was just picking a small 1B school.
Yeah.
Not any shot at that team specifically, but like you do see those sometimes where like an athlete from a higher classification will go play against a really small school and put up amazing numbers. It wasn't that.
Yep.
But Bristol going out there, and we already know she's amazing. So for her to have 9 goals and 3 assists across 2 wins in a week is pretty cool. So I think we can agree Mason Rasmussen, athlete of the week.
My dad threw in his vote for Joey Bozich with 4 touchdowns.
No bias there.
Yeah, no bias. Definitely not because he plays for Hoquiam, and definitely not because my mom used to babysit his dad. Wow, I'm old.
My mom used to babysit his dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to let that sit there for a second.
Nope. It's going to be Bristol Toll for being an absolute dominant beast this week with 9 goals, possibly 10, and 3 assists, maybe 2, in wins over Raymond South Bend, possibly Hoquiam, and Ilwaco. Wow. Besides her amazing stats, our sourcing does not sound too convincing on this one, Justin.
Hold on.
With so many question marks, this one might be borderline. Do I need to start questioning her as a real person?
Eddie said it was Raymond, South Bend, and Ilwaco.
Okay. Thank you, Eddie.
That was in the message that he sent me initially.
Okay.
So
I appreciate it. Oh, crap. Francis just jumped on the chat.
It's okay. We don't need to read what he has to say.
How quickly can you put him in a timeout? What did he do?
I don't know. I haven't even read it yet. But anyway, congratulations. Bristol Toll, you are our Spivey Athlete of the Week for your 9 goals.
McGaffey for the run, even though it was brought back.
Oh, yeah. That run was nuts.
Legit.
But Bristol, you are our Spivey Athlete of the Week for your 9 goals and 3 assists and wins over Raymond, South Bend, and Ilwaco. Just a ridiculous week for Bristol. Congratulations. And thank you to our sponsors, the Spivey Realty Group. Andrew, hold your laughter. I'm still doing the Spivey Realty Group thing as they sponsor our Spivey Athlete of the Week every week. And again, Bristol, congratulations. And hopefully you keep winning this award so you haven't peaked as a freshman.
You can keep peaking.
Yeah, you can keep peaking. You can
It's
plateau here. You plateau here. Don't make this an apex. Make it a plateau.
At the top.
All right. Now, Andrew, what were you chuckling about?
I was just... Wait, I was laughing at what Francis said.
What did he say?
Oh, he said he was asking if we broke down the MLB postseason yet. Actually, he probably hasn't heard that the MLB postseason's been canceled. Lack of interest. Nobody was interested in it, so they canceled it. Also, he wanted Daniel. He was commiserating with Daniel because their Cowboys lost.
Oh, gosh.
Hashtag OSU. And he's questioning your choice of a V-neck.
By the way, I jumped on.
I do have a V-neck on. I was wearing a sweatshirt,
You're
but
also
it
wearing
got too
puka
hot.
shells.
I was wearing a Grace Harbor Choker sweatshirt. I was repping the GHC Chokers, and then I got too toasty.
And
so
you're
sorry.
wearing a V-neck and puka shells.
They're not puka shells.
They're not?
No.
What are they?
Francis's wife feels like you don't appreciate him
They
enough.
really look like
According
puka
to
shells.
Francis.
Don't appreciate me enough?
No, Francis's wife feels that you don't appreciate
Oh,
him enough.
we don't appreciate Francis
I
enough.
find it very difficult to believe that someone who lives with Francis would have that opinion.
I also that's rather suspect.
Yeah, not sure we can believe that, Francis.
Daniel, I got to tell you something.
These aren't puka shells.
What are they?
Crap, I just forgot what they are.
They're puka shells.
They're
Daniel,
not puka shells.
Daniel,
They're-
those are really nice puka shells. I need to tell you something. You'd be so proud of me.
My wife got me these. What are they?
So, Daniel, this is important and you're going to like it.
How do I forgot what they are.
They're puka shells. Look, so Nick Sisson
Yeah.
of N2 Media
Right.
recently started a sports betting podcast.
Really?
So I jumped on the
Nice.
other day and they were talking about Oklahoma State.
Right.
And I said something, I commented live because I was watching the show.
Let's go.
And I was like, hey, Oklahoma State, they just copied Oregon State.
Yeah.
Stole their colors.
Yep.
And the two guys were like, I don't know. I think Oklahoma State was probably first. And I was like, nope. They weren't. You look it up. They were not first.
Yes.
And so then they looked it up live and
Yeah.
were like, oh, okay. Got to give the nod to Oregon State. Maybe they did get copied.
Yes.
And I was like, I need to tell Daniel.
Yes.
I did a
Dude.
good thing for Beaver Nation.
King. Oh. Well done. I'm so grateful for that.
Also, check
I
out
appreciate it.
N2 Media if you're interested in high school sports from across the state. Go find their social medias. They do a great job. They cover down south in the Vancouver
Yeah.
area. So they've got LaCenter, R.A. Long, Mark Morris, a lot of the
parts that
teams
we
down.
don't care about.
Well, the teams that are down there that our teams play against because
Yeah.
they've got Trico and Greater St. Helens leagues.
It's amber beads.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Amber Puka.
Yeah.
Very nice.
They're amber puka shells.
Yeah.
Oh. With that,
Should we take our second break before we do 2-minute drill? I
we
feel like-
usually do.
Yeah, I think there had been some times where the Athlete of the Week segment was really short, and this
Yeah.
week it ran a little bit longer.
Weird.
So I
Yeah.
think now we take our second commercial break, and then we'll go into our what's next. The thing.
What is next?
The thing is next. The
Thought
thing.
I was the one who was supposed to be bad at transitions.
Hold on.
Coming up next, we
Stop.
got our 2-minute drill. But first, a commercial break from your local sponsors.
I wanted to try again.
Our local sponsors?
Spivey Realty Group's goal is to make buying, selling, investing, and renting real estate in Grace Harbor simple. They believe in 100% transparency and unparalleled communication with local expertise tech-enhanced, and top-notch service for their friends, neighbors, and community. Their goal is simple: get a group of strong-willed, hard-working people together who want to make a difference in Grace Harbor and to use real estate as the means of achieving that. Voted Grace Harbor's best real estate company. Find them on Facebook or visit graceharborrealestate.com. Spivey Realty Group, elevating small-town real estate.
Trying to make as much noise as possible.
I realized I was making a lot of noise, so then I
Holy
just decided
moly.
to make more noise.
Holy moly.
I wanted to try
also,
again.
we have
and
reached
you-
a peak. We reached like our peak ever concurrent viewers, and we are just having an absolute mess of a show today.
So the thing is,
just a mess of a show.
I started a transition, and then I started stumbling. And instead of being a good teammate and helping me, you were like, wow, you're doing a really bad job.
I saw you stumbling, and I just stuck my foot out
Yeah, you did.
and pushed you from behind.
You know what, Daniel?
I saw an opportunity, and I took it.
If you stumble, I will catch you.
Yeah, that
From here on out.
from here.
Probably.
There you go.
It's never happened before, but trust me, it'll be different now.
Allegedly.
You know what? Let's get this third of our show going with the 2-minute drill.
Let's go, huddle up! Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation, 44 seconds, hand the ball to ref. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye, don't worry.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
You need to turn down your headphones?
It was really loud. Shohei Ohtani made history last week by becoming the first member of the 50-50 club and doing it in one of the greatest individual offensive performances in MLB history. Prior to this year, Ohtani's career high stolen bases was 26 and his career average was 14. Daniel, do you expect him to flirt with 50 stolen bases again?
No, I think if he, well, it depends. If he can get back to being a starting pitcher for a decent portion of a season, I think it's going to be really hard for him to focus on doing both of those things. What?
New club this year.
Oh, Andrew thinks that he's going to be a part of the 50-50-50 club, which is the 50 homers, 50 stolen bases, and 50 quality starts club.
50 quality starts?
Yeah, that'd be a little outrageous.
How many starts does a pitcher normally get in a season? Like 40? 35?
I think it's, yeah.
3-man rotation.
I think it's
in
usually
LA.
around 30.
They're
30,
starting him
yeah.
an extra
35.
few times.
Yeah.
He's that good.
But yeah, I don't think he'll ever flirt with 50 again if he's able to get back to being a stud pitcher, because I think it takes a little bit too much away from it. But yeah, absolutely bonkers game. 6 for 6, 3 homers, 2 doubles, a single, 10 RSBI. Just ridiculous. Justin, Seahawks good?
Good, not great. I think they're going to finish in that, like, flirting with a playoff spot range, maybe get in as a wild card.
I mean-
I don't want to overreact to the fact that
Have you
they
looked
beat...
at the rest of the conference?
I don't want to overreact to the fact that they beat a Miami Dolphins team that was already on its second-string quarterback and went to its third-string quarterback. The defense looks legitimately awesome. The offense is a little bit iffy. I think it's a good team. Pete Carroll-esque. Daniel, your alma mater, Washington State University, beat San Jose State, another fake state school, in a double overtime on Friday to remain undefeated. Last week, producer Andrew told WSU fans to calm down and that the team is not guaranteed to make the college playoff yet. Is he wrong? Somebody changed the wording on
Yeah,
this
I
question.
fixed
Yeah.
it.
They're not.
You were putting words in my mouth.
Andrew said they're not going to make the
I
college
said
football
they're
playoff.
not guaranteed. Like, it's not happening already.
Is he wrong that he said they're not going to make the college football playoff?
I'm so confused right now, but how big is the college football playoff this year?
It's
12.
12 teams.
The Cougars might make the college football
Absolutely.
playoff if they run the table and don't coug it like they almost did this week.
Not going to happen.
Justin, do the Mariners stink on ice, and do you hate them?
Yeah, I do. They suck. I hate them.
Yeah.
My least favorite team.
Everybody lost in front of them today, and they blew it in the end.
Yeah, they did. They let up.
couged it.
They literally let up a run in the 9th inning to lose the game. Like it wasn't even just
Couged
like
it.
Well,
Hey.
they didn't quite coug it because couging it.
They did what Mariners do, which is disappoint you.
So define couging it, Daniel.
Specifically you, Daniel. They disappoint
The-
you.
Yeah,
The definition of couging it has been a bit of controversy.
it's true. Yeah, we were. Somebody
I can
said.
take this.
Yeah,
Couging it is snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Right.
there it is. That is the perfect definition.
Being crappy is not couging it.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Couging it is when you go into the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter going, oh my gosh, we're a top 10 team.
Preach, King.
And then you're not ranked for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Because you lost.
Because you blew
Because
it!
you cooged it.
Yeah. Not far behind, beating it.
I'm not going to be mean.
Shut up.
Pac-12 together.
Yeah.
Pac-12 versus everybody.
Pac-2 for life, 2-pack.
I think the frustrating thing about the Mariners game was not they didn't coog it. Like they
kind of did.
They were tied going
They
into
blew it in the end.
They were tied going into the 9th inning and they let up a run.
Yeah, but they were
You
also
could say
ahead.
That they cooged this.
They were ahead
window.
going into like the 8th inning. I think they gave up a run in the 8th as well. Like they had a 5-4 lead late in this game.
I don't think
Is it too
I'll
early
look
to
it up.
say that they cooged this playoff window?
Oh,
Like they
the
got
window.
to the playoffs,
They allowed a run in the
and
7th.
Seventh.
They missed the
So they were up
playoffs
5-4.
twice.
Okay, they allowed. I'm sorry, Andrew. I actually want to get back to this thing that Andrew brought up because I think it's a really interesting conversation. They scored 3 runs in the top of the 6th to take a 5-0 lead.
Yeah.
And then allowed 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th and 1 in the 7th.
Yeah.
And then they lost when they allowed a run in the bottom of the 9th. Okay, so
I'm telling you, Daniel, you need to stop paying attention so they can do better.
Andrew said they cooged the. So I was thinking,
They
first off, they cooged the season because they were great, and then they started losing like crazy while the
Yeah.
Astros were winning like crazy.
Yeah.
Andrew is saying they cooged the window, like he's looking at
I think
over
it
multiple
should be a
seasons.
new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a Mariner. They nerd it.
They nursed
They
it.
nerd it. Gosh dang it.
They nursed it.
No. Can't. Well, I guess in reference to a terrible thing.
They snatched below average, subpar play out of the jaws of a dynasty.
Did you guys see what happened to our viewership when we started talking about baseball?
Holy
I don't blame
crap. We went from
Nobody wants to see
18 viewers to Francis.
I actually think Andrew's right, though.
Actually, it might be Daniel. It's either Francis or Daniel are still here.
I think Andrew is right about the way that they handled this window. Because instead of deciding to go in on the talent that they had and build on it, they decided to instead gamble with it, take all the Kmart versions of the guys that they had instead, or the guys that they should have signed,
Yeah.
and just be average.
Is there
and
an off-brand of Wish.com?
it's Temu,
Temu.
right?
Temu is even more off-brand. Except for they had a commercial in the Super Bowl just trying to tell everybody that it's Temu. And we were all like, nah, dude.
No, it's still Temu.
It's Temu.
No, you guys are wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just...
The truth of the matter is the Mariners need to do a lot of winning over the last little bit here if they want to get to their 54% goal. Because they're at a 51% win percentage right now.
And again, this goes back to what I originally was. I think I was originally. It was what I was thinking. I don't know if I ever said it out loud. But, like I don't know if it's on the record. The problem with the we're trying to win 54% thing is that it's the old like the bro sports speak, like aim high, miss high. The reason you don't aim for what you think would be acceptable is because if you miss by a tiny bit, you're screwed. You aim for as high as possible.
Yeah.
And then when you miss by a bit, it's okay.
Yeah. But sadly, our owners are poor.
Every single member of the Seattle Mariners organization, including the players for their own good, should have been fired when they failed to sign Shohei Ohtani.
The players.
For their own good.
Yeah.
Short of the
whoever constructed Safeco, first of all. Whoever designed Safeco, that's when it started. Yeah. Like, you designed a park that your best player
Isn't he Safeco
of
curse?
ever,
Fire the engineers.
the best player of ever wanted out. And
Wait, Shohei
since
Ohtani
then,
didn't want out.
at the time, the best player of ever, Andrew.
That's fair.
Well, Sean would say it's Barry Bonds.
Yeah. Well, Sean can...
Don't say that. It's almost his birthday.
Thank you. Daniel said, France. Oh wait. Now we're all the way back up to 10 views already. How did that happen?
Nice.
Because
Definitely don't pay attention to view numbers.
Yeah. Let's see. Patrick says the former Seattle Pilots are headed to the playoffs. Go Brewers. Oh, ouch.
Oh, I didn't know that Patrick was a Packers fan.
Yeah.
That makes me feel differently about him.
Francis says the Depoto line,
It's
540. Good luck.
It's easy to be friends with Packers fans right now.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
why?
Because they don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore.
Well, they have Jordan Love. I thought he was supposed to be better. Hold on. Did they lose today? I'm
being
so
condescending
disconnected
towards
on
Packers
football.
fans.
They
Justin-
won. They beat my Titans today, 30-4. They're 2-1.
Yeah, but the
Exciting.
Titans are real bad.
Justin,
No, this is interesting though. The Packers, because Jordan Love is hurt.
Yeah.
The Packers beat the Titans with Malik Willis playing quarterback.
Wow.
Oh,
And Malik Willis was
good
the
old puke hands.
That's the quarterback. That's the quarterback that the Titans ditched
Yeah.
to stick with Will Levis, who's
Yeah,
their
true.
current quarterback.
You're right. Yeah. Did you guys see that play though?
Dude,
where
it
the
was-
center was
oh
straight Ralphing on the ball,
Yeah.
and then
There's-
handing it to his buddy.
There's a John Boy breakdown.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
Did you see the interception that Will Levis threw last week?
No. Was it
He-
straight to the other team?
He was like getting tackled, and he just chucked the ball up in the air, and then the defense intercepted it and ran it back for a touchdown.
Oh, man.
It was real bad.
That checks out.
Yeah.
That's a mayonnaise eater's throw right there. The Seahawks, good? Andrew, I'm curious your take
I
first.
was curious if Justin was aware that the Seahawks are currently in a 2-game lead in the NFC West.
I just, I'm having
they?
having a hard. From what I've watched, I'm having a hard time
always-
buying in. Fully.
I've always figured. I don't know if I've said this out loud either. I've always figured that the first 4 weeks, you have to wait 4 weeks before you can say anything about.
How
about
convenient
the
for
NFL,
you.
right?
This is
Would
the
you say
title of
that's
the
accurate,
show.
though?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I've said this.
No,
out
you're
loud.
right. You're
What?
right.
Like you have to wait 4 weeks
Yeah.
before you can say something. Like before you can have a good opinion about the NFL.
Agreed.
Because it feels like the first 2 weeks are always just lies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes 3.
Yeah, but like after 4 weeks.
We're waiting.
Seahawks are ahead.
It's true.
3 weeks now.
3 weeks. After 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, the Seahawks are ahead. They clearly are not right now the best, like an amazing team.
Right. Their offensive line's pretty trash.
Their offensive line is concerning. Today they had a ton of penalties.
And Gino threw 2 picks.
Gino threw 2 picks off deflections.
What? Is the deflection
And-
something that's all of a sudden not his fault? Like,
One
did it
of
deflect
them-
off of
one
his
of
player
them-
or the different player?
One of them, I think, was a good play by
Deflected
the
off
defense.
his
The other
own hand.
one may reflect more on the offensive line than anyone else. But
I mean, he's got a point. Arizona, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, they're all 1 and 2.
San
Yeah.
Francisco is incredibly injured again, like
Shocker.
they always are. Debo
Yeah.
Samuel, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey all missed the game today.
Yeah. And the Rams are also super injured.
So we're going to do the near annual thing of being like, well, if the 49ers can get healthy, then they're going to be really good.
And
Yeah.
recently they've then been really good.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But winning
Francis says Griffey is a quitter. What?
No.
Well,
No.
I get what
Ignore.
he's referencing, but that's
Ignore.
dumb.
Ignore.
Rasmussen is saying, I'm from Wisconsin, and then the Army came along.
Okay.
Okay. So
Well, I'm
yeah.
glad the Army brought you here.
Yeah. As Justin specifically is, because your son now plays for Monty.
And
Daniel
Patrick
says,
is
I'm
my- and
unhappy
Patrick
with the
is my
game."
friend.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And then after, I didn't know that. Sorry.
Did you know I was Mason's first baseball coach? So everything,
everything
Mason,
Mason does is
that's
because of
good
you.
is because of me.
Yeah. Daniel says, after 4 weeks, baselines are established, and it becomes more an injury consideration. That makes sense.
I would slightly push back on what Andrew said by saying that winning a bad division doesn't mean you're good.
Oh.
So if the Seahawks win and this division turns out to be bad, I think I was right if I say they're like kind of in the good, not
Yeah.
great range.
Yep.
They found ways to win games, and the defense is legitimately good. So,
Yeah.
like, if we're looking at something like a slightly less good version of the Legion of Boom, where your offense is okay, you
Yeah.
have good skill players.
Yep.
Like, I mean, obviously they have great receivers, and if Kenneth Walker can get back, they'll
Right.
have a good running back.
Yeah.
So I think they could be good, be a playoff team.
Yeah. I realized I was making a funny face, and then I decided to stop because I realized Francis might screenshot it and
Probably would.
print it out and put
he
it
does
places.
that.
Yeah, don't
He's a
like
bad
that.
person.
I will say, this is from last year. This is an article I found from last year because I was curious about teams that start 3-0.
Okay.
Dating back to 1970, and again, this is before last year's season, so there's a handful of teams that would have played into this. 155 teams have started the season with a 3-0 record. Of that group, 115 teams made the playoffs, 74%. 42 of those teams reached the Super Bowl, and 21 won the Super Bowl. One important note is that the NFL regular season has expanded from 14 games in 1977 to 16 games in 1978 to 17 games in 2021. A 3-0 start in a 14-game schedule has a little more value than the same start on a 17-game schedule.
So you're saying the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl?
No.
Yes, that's what he said.
Not one bit. Yeah. But they are a fun team to watch, even though Geno Smith's their quarterback.
I want to point
and
out...
everybody tells me how good he is, and he's just not.
I want to point something
He's just
out.
not.
We need Sam Howell.
Yeah.
It's Sam Howell
I'm
time.
really excited for when Geno has his injury that he has every year because
I'm
he's
actually
an
excited for
old
that
breaking down
too,
quarterback, and then
'cause
Sam
I
Howell
think
can
you're
play.
wrong about that.
Wait,
But-
you're excited because then they're going to be
Yeah,
bad?
no, because I'll get to see you proven wrong.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
always
Drew
more
Lock all
excited
over
for that.
again.
Gotcha.
But what I wanted to say is that I feel like the defense is not as good. Like, there's no one is thinking, ooh, they might be as good as the Legion of Boone.
Right. Well, that was the
But
greatest
the
defense of all time.
offense-
So
The offense is already better
Yeah.
than the offense was in that era. And I was today.
Like
I
the
was
scheme.
thinking, it's
The offensive
so cool.
scheme.
Yes, it's so cool that now, like so far this year, we have a defense that tries to take advantage of the mistakes that the other offense makes, and we have an offense that tries to take advantage of the mistakes that the other team is making, instead of an offense that tries not to make mistakes.
Yeah. An offense
It's
that's
way more fun to
Geno
watch.
is obviously not trying to not make mistakes. He threw 2 picks and fumbled. So he doesn't care about mistakes.
Yeah. He yeah.
It's time for Sam Howell. Go Heels. I mean Seahawks.
It's
I mean Seahawks.
They're not going to sit a guy who's 3-0, but I don't know.
I mean, last week he was leading the league in completion percentage, or second in the league in completion percentage.
Russ was up there
Right
too.
up there.
Also, I will
Russ
say
hasn't played yet.
No, he wasn't talking about Russ
oh.
this year.
Oh,
I'm sorry. During the game, Geno threw that. Well, during the game, he threw a touchdown pass. He didn't throw the touchdown pass before the game.
Yeah.
He threw it during the game.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
that's
tends to happen.
important.
He threw the
When
pass.
you talk about the passage of time, generally, with the passage of time, the significance is
Yeah.
you can only throw interceptions after the game has started.
You have to think about the significance, though,
You have to
of
think
the
about
passage
it.
of time.
Yeah.
But no, he threw that touchdown pass, and the commentators were like, "What a great throw!" And I was like, "Actually, he kind of underthrew that by about 3 yards, and then a normal receiver would have been immediately tackled by the corner. But DK is so fast,
Yeah.
that he was able to slow down and catch the ball, and then
Yep.
no one could get him afterwards.
Yeah. Because he's like stupid fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just not drinking the Geno Kool-Aid. I'm not. You can tell me that he's played great these 3 weeks.
Daniel's
and
also a known
well,
Julio hater, though. So
I will
accurate.
I'm just throwing that out there because
He
we
might
have
just
seen
be
here.
biased
Hey,
against
hold up. We've seen
Seattle
Geno.
Stars.
We've seen Geno be really good for a few games, and then we've seen him turn into Geno. We saw him when he came in for Russell be bad, and then the next season he started out like a house on fire, and then for the last 3 quarters of the season he was bad again. And then last year, guess what? He was up and down, and especially down on a bunch of different games. He's a good backup quarterback. He's got potential to be good, But most of the time, he's extremely inconsistent. Why do we just think that, he's had a couple of nice games? That he's gonna not revert to a couple of garbage games because that's what he is. We have not seen sustained success from him. He has been extremely up and down, and not just in games, but in seasons where he's started off really good or he's had really good stretches and then he's had really trash stretches. I'm not going to be sold by a couple of nice games against booty teams that Geno Smith is going to be good.
I mean, this season, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks.
Yeah.
Through 3 games. Those are like Jay Fiedler numbers.
Way to go, old school Miami Dolphins, since that's who they played.
Well, we
today.
just played the Dolphins, so
Yeah,
it
I
felt
know. It
relevant.
was quality
Yeah,
quality pull there.
Appreciate that.
Do we have anything else to do?
My favorite part of the show.
Oh, I forgot.
Serving questions up on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel.
Stump Daniel is brought to you by the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz, no relation.
My dad said I'm still watching Quit Mariners.
Quit Mariners?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Nobody
Daniel.
Mariners fans don't want to hear about the Mariners. Mariners not fans definitely don't want to hear about the Mariners.
Daniel, I want to know how close attention you were paying to the Seahawks game today.
Oh, none.
The fourth quarter of which we were driving out here in
Yeah.
the middle of nowhere.
None attention.
The edge of nowhere.
Middle.
Edge.
The edge.
When you drive...
Oh, crap. Francis just sent me screenshots of me making that stupid face.
Wait,
I knew it. I knew it. I knew he was going to do that.
Okay, are you looking at the camera? If you're watching right now, can you see
You're doing a terrible job.
how bad is it?
It's real bad.
I'm trying to show the camera the face Daniel's making, but I think my phone's
Justin,
too bright.
they've seen it already.
They seen it?
They have seen it already.
Okay.
Let's see if mine's less bright. Oh, no, it still blurs
It's
out
the
my
lamp.
face.
It's the lamp.
Anyway,
Okay, well,
that's great radio right there.
Daniel.
Justin.
Who led the Seahawks today in receptions?
That's the end of the question.
Which player led the Seahawks today in receptions?
Tyler Lockett.
Terrible guess.
Dang it. I was just hoping it was him, and it was one of those risk-reward questions where if I didn't pick him, you would have been like, Daniel, how could you not pick your favorite player? What a tool bag.
Well, it was a terrible guess because Tyler Lockett was second. Noah Fant, in fact, led the team with receptions.
What?
6 catches for 60 yards.
Weird.
DK had 4 for 104 and a touchdown. Tyler Lockett had 5 for 46.
Okay.
Daniel,
Yes, Justin.
which player was second on the team in rushing yards today?
Second and...
Second in rushing yards. Who was the second leading rusher for the Seahawks today?
I assume Geno Smith?
Terrible guess.
Dang it. He was third?
In fact, Geno Smith had -2 rushing yards, which made him third on the team.
Terrible.
Kenny McIntosh
Kenny McIntosh.
had 3 carries for 11 yards. You're 0 for 2.
Yeah, not looking great so far.
Daniel, which player led the Seahawks in tackles today? You're trying to think of the name of a linebacker right now. I can see what's happening in your head. Am I right? Am I right? You want to say Jordan Brooks, you want to say Bobby Wagner, but you know they're both gone. Am I right?
Jordan Brooks played in today's game.
He did. He played for the Dolphins.
Oh, crap. I can't remember their names. And so because of that, Jordan Love.
What's his first name?
Julian?
Julian Love was tied for
Is he a
wait.
safety?
Yeah, he is.
Julian Love tied for third, so that's a terrible guess. Julian Love had 5 tackles.
Is it like Dobbins or something?
Correct
like that?
answer is Rayshawn Jenkins.
Jenkins. And
As
who's
a
the other
safety,
guy?
you never want to see your safety lead the team in tackles.
Yeah.
But Jenkins does play a lot up
Dude,
near the
that's
line of
the-
scrimmage. He had 10 tackles in the game.
That's so weird that like this defense is really good, and yet I still can't tell you the names of the linebackers, and I forgot about Rayshawn Jenkins. Like, that he was
Well,
a
you're 0
person.
for 3.
Oh man,
I got 2 more. Who led the Seahawks in sacks today? You're trying to think of the name of a defensive lineman. I can look in your eyes.
No.
It's just like linebackers.
No,
all
I've got
over again.
multiple. I saw this guy get one of the sacks, so I'm just going to go with him.
Okay.
Derek Hall.
Daniel, shockingly, you are correct. Derek Hall had 2 sacks for the Seahawks, who had 6 as a team.
Let's go.
Tyrell Dodson, Draymond Jones, Jaron Reed, and Boye Mafe also had a sack. So you're 1 for 4. Daniel, last one. Who led the Seahawks in quarterback hits today?
Is Gino a possible answer there?
He didn't hit himself.
I'm going to say... Are we making the dial-up sound effect there? Is that what's going on? I'm going to say Jaron Reed.
Andrew was right. You are incorrect. Jaron Reed, in fact, only had 2 quarterback hits compared to 4 for your boy, Derek Hall.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
Bad job by you. You are 1 for 4, which puts you firmly not quite in the Duck zone, but definitely in the Husky zone. That will conclude Stump Daniel for this week, which is brought to you by the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. No relation. Thank you to our sponsors, the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz and Spivey Realty Group, for helping bring this show to the people, because this is a show for us.
Yes.
Not the people.
Not us.
I don't really
mean,
care.
not the people. It's for us.
No, it's for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin's well known.
Screw you, listeners.
So, that's going to do it for our show today.
Hey, my son's college football team won their first game of the season yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah,
Do you
in
expect the
overtime.
listeners to care about that?
Double
Justin?
overtime. No, it's for me.
What was the score?
That's awesome.
It was like 48-41 or something like that.
Did Peyton get to
Special teams.
special teams?
Nice.
Make the tackle?
He was in the vicinity of a couple of tackles, but not anything that would be like the solo
Gotcha.
variety.
Okay. All right. So, for my
He
co-host,
looked good out there, though.
I
Justin,
bet he did.
my son plays college football. Domashevitz.
And my co-host, Daniel, my mom babysit his dad, Hargrove.
And our producer.
I was thinking it, but I don't know if I ever said it out loud.
Normally we say the names before and after that, but you kind of jumped the gun on that
Hold
one,
on.
Chief.
Wait, I really wanted to say, what is your... Rewind. And our trusty producer, Andrew, I was thinking it, but I don't know if I ever... Don't give me a wah-wah! Daniel, you do it.
I think it's been done enough.
Our trusty producer, Andrew, I was thinking it, but I don't know if I ever said it out loud. Gross.
The only thing that would have been better is if the show would have cut out right before, right as you were starting it again.
The show
Anyway,
is never better if it
Thank
cuts
you
out
to
while
everybody
I'm talking.
who suffered through this ridiculous episode. We are very grateful for you, even though Justin secretly hates all of you because he just wants to talk to
Not you, Patrick.
himself.
I like you. I hate everyone else.
All right. That's it, I think.
Go Packers.
What?
For Patrick.